Here we have a data set that we're going to use for our case study. So in our case study, we'd like to understand relationships, right? That's the purpose of this video and this tutorial series is what are the relationships among variables. The first thing we're going to do is what's called the bivariate correlation. So a bivariate correlation is, if you think about what bi means two, and variate is the variables that we're looking at. So in other words, we're looking at two variables, and correlation is how they relate to one another, correlate, right? So here we have two variables, and we want to know how those two variables correlate. In other words, how are they similar to each other? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at our descriptive information. So first, we just want to check our data set before we actually run the analysis to understand how the variables have all been set up within SPSS. So this video will focus on confirming that, and then the next video will look at the actual bivariate correlation analysis. So here we have our 9 variables, starting with sex, which is coded as either male or female. And this is a numeric variable, meaning that we have to assign it into categories since it is a nominal variable, right? The numbers don't mean anything, so it's nominal. The next 3, you'll notice, they're not numeric, they're string. So I thought I would point that out before we start here. So what this means is essentially, you'll notice that nationality should be a categorical variable. In other words, it is nominal, but you'll notice that there are no values assigned for nationality here. And the reason is because there might be so many different nationalities, or in this case, so many different states, or so many different occupations, that it doesn't make sense anymore to categorize them. So instead, you refer to that as a string. Okay, if we switch over the data view, that might be helpful. So let's choose occupation. So many different occupations. You could categorize those into types of occupation, maybe blue collar and white collar, for example. But how we've done it here in this data set, if we go to data view, is you can see that state is actually the words listed here, right? Nationality are the words, and occupation are words. Because these haven't been converted into numbers, we can't treat them the same as numeric type, right? So these are what we call string. The problem with having it this way is it's harder to do descriptive analysis on it. You can't, for example, get a mode because you're looking at words instead of numbers. However, it's still very valuable if you're not interested in collecting, statistics related to central tendency or whatever statistics are you're exploring there. In this case, it is perfectly acceptable to have words here, just making sure that we've identified them as string type. Okay, and then the next 5 variables are our constructs for our research study. So here we have destination image, coded as dest image, destination experience, dest exp, tourist satisfaction is dest sat, destination risk is dest risk, and revisit intention rev int. Okay, so those are the names for our codes, and these are the labels that we've attributed to them. These are all scale data. They're actually Likert scale, ranging from 1 to 7. So 1 completely disagree, and then 7 completely agree, and they range in scale and responses between that. You can confirm that in the data view to show that, for instance, for destination image, there are no values less than 1 and higher than 7. Okay,